Fashionlinknowclasses. Today I will be talking with one of my guests about a topic that could be really useful for the future fashion design professionals. It's about public speech and communication with media. My guest today is Predrag P.Petrovic, who was a really famous TV host on national television in Serbia. 2 televisions.
3 actually.
3 actually, sorry. I missed the 3rd one because I was in Barcelona, I apologize. And we met in an interesting way. We met at the Serbian Fashion Week,
yes.
Right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, me as a designer, I found when I was beginning these things communicated with journalists, with media, really stressful and complicated. I had to learn it kind of in a difficult way. So, today I want to make it easier for my students and future fashion designers, to make it easier for them, because I had to learn, going through the difficult paths, and I hope this will be useful. So welcome to Fashionlinknow platform, and I hope we'll be hanging out a lot, because I love to communicate with you and I like to hear your opinion. I mean, they're really useful tips. Not just for the fashion design professionals, but in general.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a great honor and a privilege being your guest on your channel. I think that what you are doing is amazing. And let me just tell you, you were also amazing in Serbia Fashion Week, where we met, because your communication with media at the time was what media wanted at that time. So I think that you should not be so rough on yourself. You should be more relaxed, because you are a truly professional, and for me is always a pleasure speaking with professionals like you.
Mm-hmm. Before we go to that part about like real communication, whether it's interview, like direct communication with the journalist, like for example for the TV, or giving like interviews for your collection at some events. I was talking about you earlier on about things like the steps that are like important before you get there. I mean, I was going there like for like 10 to 15 years. Yeah. So, I mean, when we met, I was already like, kind of experienced, but I was
established.
Like, yes, well, established, yeah. But I remember my first like communication, like how to approach media, how to show them that I exist, was like really difficult when you're like starting off. I mean, I was lucky because I was working like in a really short period of time for Bazaar, It's one of the most famous lifestyle magazine in ex-Yugoslavia. So for me, it was kind of easier, but I know that many designers are having these issues. Yeah. Where to go, how to do it, how to show off.
Yeah. First of all, you were established, so for me it was not a problem approaching to you and ask you some questions. Also, when you're speaking with an experienced fashion designer, or when you are speaking with, as a journalist, of course, with some people who are from other branches, it's much easier when they are experienced. Journalists always have problem when people don't have experience in front of the camera, or when they are not so experienced in speaking with people from the media, because they don't have that experience, they have to gain it. And it is a huge process. It is a huge process. First of all, let's say that today you're a fashion designer.
Mm-hmm. I finished the school.
Yeah. So I finished the school and now I'm preparing my first fashion show, and I need help from the media, because today without the media, you cannot have your business, you cannot just rely on social media, because social media is just one window. And people, I must say, especially people from your branch, are using social media completely wrong. Completely wrong. But that is a subject for
we have to do another one.
Yeah. So let's say that we are now speaking with people who ask our help how they approach media for the first time. So you just finished school, you have your fashion presentation, you have to reach out to journalists. So first of all, don't be afraid to call. But do not call the journalist, call the fashion editors, okay? And you should use newspapers, you should use television, you should use radio, you should use any type of internet platform, and you should write to them. Also, you should know that you should never write to 50% in the same email.
Those CC mails.
No, of course not. You should you should write to people who are in person, you know, just mail by mail by mail. You will present yourself. You will say your name and your last name. You will say that you have fashion presentation that is completely ready, your story, yes, and then you will ask for a meeting. Okay, so you have to go to meet the people. That is very, very important. Personal contact is something that journalists and editor very, very appreciate. So that is most important thing, being able to achieve that personal contact between yourself and the media person, editors or journalists. So you go, you present yourself, you say that you want to have, let's say, fashion presentation on runway, and they will be immediately interested, because we as a journalist, we often have problem. We have to find the stories. You know what I mean? And for me, it's much, much easier when people are coming to me and when they say, I have a story for you.
Do you think like that sometimes, I mean, I was a fashion editor in Bazar. I remember receiving all these emails, you know, there are like a lot of people. Sometimes those emails go to spam or to trash. So I don't really like, or I don't have time preparing like covers and editorials to see all these people. And I also think this personal approach is also important. But sometimes like there are designers who like are like really ego, you know, centric, and they're like kind of like pushy. I mean, you know, I'm sure you had those experiences also. What is that balance like in communication, you know, when you want to approach like somebody that doesn't know? I mean, for example, for me, the personal story was like my grandfather was like also in fashion, so that was kind of interesting to editors, like this like kind of personal story. And I read somewhere that personal stories of famous designers were like really kicking them into the spot. Do you think like this could be something interesting, or what is this balance, like not being like pushy?
Yeah, I completely understand you. There are people who just want their space in the media, which is very, very wrong, especially when they don't have much to show. So it's a short term. It's a short term, of course, and I'm a firm believer that if someone has a quality, the editor or journalist will not miss it. You know what I mean? So you as an editor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You will find a way to approach, actually, you will find a way to see that special something in a future fashion designer. You have asked me about the balance. Listen, Anna, it's all about the email. When you read the email, you can see as an experienced professional that the person is pushy, or is it just a humble person who is looking for his chance? So for me, it's like, be very, very careful what you write to people in fashion, not just in fashion, but any profession. You should be very, very careful what you write, because these people will read and they can say, oh, look at this cocky person, he doesn't have anything yet, but he wants his space, he's just, I don't know, starlet or something like that, something similar. But if the person is very serious, asking for a meeting, professional meeting with you, in order to show you his work, in order to look for the advice from you as an experienced fashion designer, as an experienced editor, you will recognize that. As soon you recognize that as an editor, as a journalist, you will call that person and you will say, listen, this month I don't have time, but I will be able to have meeting with you next month, date, time, etc, etc. So balance the person who is writing, who is looking forward to meet people from the media. They should know how to write, they should know how to approach, they should know how to be humble, actually.
Yeah, do you think like most of the designers are asking me like when they're starting like, you know, my budget is zero for the PR agency or like to hire a PR. I mean, I have to do it initially on my own. So these tips are basically for those with zero euros at the beginning. And they're asking me like, yeah, but you know, how to get to the L, how to get, I mean.
It's so easy. I will tell you now, it is so easy. Okay, I will ask you something. Do you know how much PR agency is asking money from you in order to do a PR for you for the following month?
I was getting offers from outside of Serbia where I was living.
Okay.
I'm getting it right now. It can
Okay.
be, I mean, it can be amazingly expensive for example, for the show. It's like a couple of €1,000.
Yeah.
Like to
I
do
will
the
tell
whole
you,
PR.
it's a 4,000 euros. I will tell you, it's a 4,000 euros. So I was working as a PR for the past 20 years also, while I was working as a television presenter and a journalist. And for me, that amount of money, it's ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous because what will PR agency do for you that you cannot do? They will also call their contacts in newspapers, in Elle, in Vogue, in all kind of fashion magazines. They will call their people from television. And yet, after you pay 4,000 euros for example, you will not have the personal contact with the people. So the personal contact is very, very important. So let's say now you have zero, you don't have anything, and I approve that. So for me, now it's important for people to know you don't have to have the money in order to be in the newspapers. Because we are on your channel right now. I know that we are talking to people who are creative, who are educated, full of ideas, and just ready to go. And my advice for them is go, ask for a meeting, ask for help, ask for advice. First of all, you just came off from the university. It is your first runway. You don't know anything. You need to learn. People who are in the media will help you when they recognize your will to learn more, to be successful. They will recognize that, they will give you the right advices. And after that, you have their contact. Once you are ready to have your own fashion show, you will call them and you will say, the time has come. Now I'm ready and I'm looking forward to see you. And people will reply in that. That's very, very important.
Well, I mean, I think this is the good point because my experience with, for example, with the events, whether it's domestic or international, usually the events, they have their own PR team. But even like, for example, for the domestic, I think that, I mean, even the PR is suggesting who to, you know, to do the interview with. Absolutely. I think like, I was always getting this personal contact, like always, like journalists were coming for me, whether, you know, PR agency was suggesting somebody else. I mean, yes, and that personal contact was really important because
it is so important. I will remind you, we didn't know each other when we met on the Fashion Week, and you were so busy with the models, preparing for the runway. I didn't know anything about the fashion at the time, but I was simply a journalist at the time. So you were so approachable. You were such a professional, but it was a path for you. You were able to learn how to behave with media through your career. You know what I mean? So it's vice versa. We as a journalist, we have to learn how to approach to fashion designers. I heard my friend, she's in the Serbian media also, and she told me, all people just want fame, all people just want to be famous, but basically for nothing. When we ask as a journalist, when we ask, okay, show me your product, show me what you have, show me that blouse, that trousers, show me something, he usually doesn't have anything, and if he has...
So it's just a talk.
it is just a talk. So we also as journalists, we also are in the same problem like true fashion designers who are asking their space in the media.
I want to ask you now about the topic about public speech.
Okay.
I know many designers and fashion design professionals are having issues with that. Okay. I was having issue when I started. I remember my first interview on Third Channel of national television, and I was like having all those words like mixed up. I wasn't actually prepared what to say. I thought, I mean, it will come natural. You know, I was thinking like, yeah, I know what is my inspiration. I will do it natural. But when the moment came, I was like speechless and so nervous. And then I learned on my own to control what I'm speaking. I think this can be also issue with communication with media, because I know many designers don't get so much attention just because they get invited once or twice to do an interview, doesn't go well, and they don't call them anymore because they're like, oh no, I don't want to waste time, it's too much hassle. So can you tell me, I mean, can you tell for my platform some like useful tips? I know you're good at it. so that can use when they do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, to put something in a journalist way, I will say I cannot waste my time and calling him again because my time is very, very expensive. I have to have a good person across from me that will answer my questions. So I cannot waste my time calling that person again. So that is what you basically said. But you also said something that is absolutely perfect and number one thing that everyone who is into learning about public speaking should know. And also people like fashion designers, analysts, people who are in that position to speak with public. The first rule of public speaking is be prepared. That is nothing will come naturally. But if you are prepared, if you know your topic, if you know all the things that you want to say to your audience, then everything will come naturally.
So more you are prepared, more you have a control.
You have total control. That is the thing with public speaking. People are thinking that everything will go wrong during my public approach or public speaking. Trust me, nothing can go wrong. Look at us now. Look at me and you right now. So we are in this amazing space. We have this amazing opportunity to have this interview, to educate each other, then to educate the people who are watching us. What could go wrong? Lights? Earthquake? Are those things that you can control? Of course not. Just be focused and be prepared on things that you should do during this interview or public speaking or whatever. That is the first thing. Second, you should control your breathing. There are some exercises.
I just want to stop you for a second. Like when you say this preparation, I just want to make it clear, for example, for a fashion designer. When you say prepared, is it like to be in control of the topic? I mean, the topic that is connected to your collection, description, this kind of things?
Absolutely, absolutely. Fashion designers are often called to TV shows or radio shows or interview for the newspapers in order to explain their runway. Okay? So I, as a journalist, want to know what inspired you, who inspired you, what are the materials, how much time you spend preparing this runway, to whom you are addressing this runway, who are the people who will be able to wear your runway. How do you see fashion today in these circumstances? We have coronavirus now, so how do you see? I listened to the Anna Wintour a few weeks ago, and she said that the fashion now these days is the part of the economy that is hit the most. 50 million people lost their jobs. So it's I as a journalist want to know all the things that are crucial.
You have to be in the moment. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I as a journalist want to know all the crucial things right now from you. So you will not just answer my questions regarding your runway. That will be primary. Secondary will be, how do you see this situation? Did it affect you? Did it affect your colleagues? What do you think about how will fashion look like next year and the year ahead? So in order to be prepared, that is why I met
then the breathing.
Yeah, breathing is very, very important. On my classes, I'm teaching my students how to breathe. That's very, very important, because once you are in a position to be scared of public speaking, your heart rate is going like crazy.
The cameras and the lighting.
You become more nervous, more anxious. And let me tell you something, 57% of people have defined the fear of public speaking worse than death.
Really?
Yes,
that's horrible.
That is horrible. But for
such amount of stress.
Yes, and also it is a type of anxiety. It is a type of anxiety. So you have to learn how to breathe properly. You never breathe with your lungs. You breathe with your stomach. That's how your heart rate is going down. You become more in control of your voice. You don't sweat as much as you do if you don't know how to breathe. That is also one of the tactics that you can overcome. And there are some more steps, but I will say one thing that for me it's like awakening, you know what I mean, especially in these times. So How many people, Anna, today have opportunity to speak in public? So few.
Yeah.
So few. So imagine how much money you have lost, how many opportunities you have lost, how many people contacts you have lost because you have this silly fear of what? Of presenting something in front of, I don't know, 1,000 people to 5,000 people. It is okay to be nervous, but you just have to think like this. I need to appreciate my time on this stage. I need to appreciate it because this is my opportunity.
A minute, yeah.
Absolutely. This is my opportunity because people, today we are all struggling in a way to get the attention, to be approachable. So you have to appreciate that moment when you're on the stage in order to, this is my chance. Not many people have this opportunity to speak. I can just benefit. One more thing and I'm done regarding the public speaking. When I ask my students, what is the problem with you? What is the main reason of your fear? And one of them said, people will laugh.
Really?
Yeah. So that told me that people are afraid of failure. Okay, so you assumed that someone will laugh on you. And then I asked why. She didn't have the answer. Let me tell you in simple words, that is stupid thing. Why? Because when you are in a position...
I mean, you are in the position to...
Absolutely. So you are in a position to give a speech. You will address publicly to the audience. People who are listening, they are cheering for you. They want you to succeed. They didn't came there to see you fail.
I mean, they can switch the channel if they're not interested, but if they stay, they're here for the reason.
Absolutely. So now
you are the reason.
But now you're talking about public speaking and the television. That's another thing. But if you are, for example, if you are presenting for example, you have to present in front of 100 students your idea, fashion idea for the next
or clients or the
clients.
Group of clients.
Yes, of course. So you are in a position to present them, and they came here to listen you fail. No, they're cheering for you, they're rooting for you because they want to hear something good from you.
But you know, you know what I heard also from some of my students, they're like, oh yeah, but you know, my family is watching me. So they have like they're more anxious because their family is watching them than like some people they don't know. So that was also funny because...
So I'm sorry for interrupting. So you don't speak with your family every day?
I know, but somehow you feel, I mean, I understand because when I was beginning, I was like, always be like, yeah, I don't care what everybody else, but you know, like my parents are watching this. I need to, you know, like, I mean, it needs to be good in some way. But later
they will always be proud of you. The only person in this world who is always proud of you and your masterpiece are your parents. I mean, if everything goes wrong, if I don't know, it's earthquake, light went off, if something happens, these are the people that will say, you were amazing.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of family. That's like...
Well, now I know, but you know, when you're like 20 years old, it's like,
you had to go to that road.
You had to go. I think, I mean, at the end, you have to go to some process. So at the end, I mean, do you have some advice for like okay, we explain where to start. We explain some things as far as the public speaking that can be useful. Do you have some message for future fashion design professionals? I mean, we are in really odd times, you know, different times.
Exactly.
So things are changing also really fast. Fashion industry is always changing. So I think you have to understand the moment where you are and to also think about future. So do you have something else to say for the end?
Yeah. I will say this. People are saying that we are living new normal. Okay, so I absolutely don't agree with that. We are not living new normal. We are living the way we should live, taking care of ourselves. During this crisis, nothing has changed, okay? Regarding ourselves, our inspiration, our motivation, our creativity, nothing changed. So we just need to continue to do what we were doing before this pandemic. You have newspapers, you have television, you have radio, you have all media, you have social media, you have everything. So you just have to make a good strategy for the future in order if something like this repeats. So you have to have some kind of a back plan, okay?
Always plan B.
Always have, exactly, always have a plan B. But now when we are living in this moment after, we need to continue working on ourselves. We need to continue working in promoting our work the best way we can. We need to use this time to think what have we lost for the past 3 months, and we need to be persistent, because we are not persistent.
Yeah.
We, as a human beings, we are not persistent.
Okay, so I'm so glad you were, again, I mean, Pedro is amazing, also motivational speeches, but if you want to know more about what he's doing, and he's doing, he has his new blog, and he's doing great classes in this area. We just touched this area today. So I hope we'll meet together again and talk about the different topics about public speech and also PR. But that is all for now from me and from Peja. I hope you got some really, really nice advices from us, and I hope you will use it to make it better and to advance. So that is all for me now. If you have any thoughts, if you have any questions, just be free to contact me or Peja for this topic. So see ya, bye bye.